Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 13th, 2022 at approximately 7:55 a.m. PST. Well, I mentioned a few things I was getting to work on. As I said yesterday, pick 12 things to get to complete by the end of the year. Now, I mentioned a couple of things yesterday. Okay, and before I get into it, the whole purpose of this is to take the energy in your life and change it for what you consider the better. Now, there's only 3 laws I follow. Okay, be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And energy out, energy in. Now, regardless of what religion you follow, what spiritual guideline, what support group you've got, take a look at the guidelines that you're following. Compare them to those 3, and I do believe what you'll find is they all fit inside those 3. If you find one that does not fit, absolutely I do ask you to drop me a line in the comments below, or on one of my private contact points, also listed below this video. Okay, and let me know, because I'm still looking for that one possible variable. The one law that doesn't fit those 3. Though thus far I have not been successful. Now, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel, because I was returned to this planet for one primary purpose, and that is to spread a simple message to everybody. That is, working together, we can make this a better world for most people. Now, I pointed out a couple of things yesterday. Okay, I took this figure, and I mentioned that I would paint it. That I was waiting for input from somebody on a color scheme. So, somebody yesterday did come back with a color scheme for it. Okay, and as you can see, I've started painting it. Well, I did my research once I got the color suggestion made. Did my own research, and since it did fit without a problem, as it shows here, I am doing the body brown. The hooves and the horn are black, and that central ridge you see on top, shows up better that way, will be done in gray. Okay, so thank you very much for your input. I do appreciate it, and as you can see, it is coming along. Now, I also mentioned this issue about when I talk about these goals, you pick 12. 12 is literally the number of ultimate wisdom, which is why I work with 12. I also work with 12 in numerology, base 12 numerology, instead of standard base 10. See, humans started working with base 10 numerology because of one factor. They ran out of fingers. Okay. Intriguingly enough, when you work on computers, computers work on base 8. And when I'm working with numerology, I work with base 12. In other words, with base 10, you go 1 to 10 and start over on 1. Base 8, you go 1 to 8 and start over on 1. Base 12 is 1 to 12, start over on 1. Well, I've already listed off, where are we here? Of the 12 projects for this year, I've got 5 books I desire to put into print. Now, that said, that means that the Return to Paradise, the third and the final book in the trilogy of Yldrbac, The Latter Years, there's 9 other books coming out after that. But in order to put things in place, I worked it out at 3 pages added a day. I will have the Return to Paradise finished by the time my birthday in May rolls around. Actually, I think it'll be a couple of days after. Okay, just shortly after the middle of May. But that leaves me another 4 to 6 months to do final edit, thus getting the book printed by the end of the year. Yesterday, I managed to get the 3 pages done. I also have Races of the Worlds 1 and Races of the Worlds 2 that I desire to get into print. Okay, Races of the Worlds 1 will be a reprint, And anybody that's already got it, make sure I've got your address. I will send out a new copy with a little added information, in it, as well as pictures, okay, of the various races. They're in the middle of being produced. Okay. The fourth project I've got going is Mr. Dreamcatcher, which is this little book here. This is the first children's book I wrote. Okay. It's ready to go to print. Well, I was looking for the soft copy of it. I found the soft copy of that one and the soft copy of Mr. Dreamcatcher Returns. Okay. So, with that in mind, that's 5 of the projects. Okay. The 6th project is I'm aiming at breaking 200 pounds. Okay, right now I'm only at 215, so it's not a real big jump. But this allows a lot of room to accomplish it, and it's not a question of making projects that are huge. This is one of those ones that on my current pace I will likely finish well before June. However, the trick is to pick projects so that you can get them cleared out of the way, so you can actually feel like you managed to get them done. I talked to somebody a little while ago that had 12 set up for last year. No, sorry, they had 10 set up for last year. They got 8 of them done, but they still felt like they had really made progress. Now that's 6. The 7th project I've got on the go, and I started doing it yesterday. Where's my list? Nope, that's not it. Must be the back of that. Yep. I took a sheet of paper, and I mentioned yesterday that there were some Christmas decorations on this counter behind this shelf behind me that were going to be gone. They've been put away where they belong. Okay, I've started breaking down everything else, as in if you look at this shelf over here, okay, that shelf right there has actually 6 shelves if you count the top. So that shelf will be completely cleared. Okay, and I'm going through this room step by step to clear every one of the shelves and get rid of everything that is not required in the office. The intention there is it will also indicate going through this filing cabinet over here and making sure it's cleared. Of everything it doesn't require, get rid of old files that are no longer necessary. I was throwing out some files the other day that were from 2008. I don't require files that old. So I will be disposing of all of it. But the reason for this is bringing us back around to that issue of Feng Shui. Get the energy in your primary living space, sort it around, you get rid of all the junk, clear the clutter, and get the energy running smoothly. And all of a sudden, you've got a world that is working a whole lot more readily for you. By doing that, it will make it easier to cope with the stresses of day-to-day life when you have to step outside of your house. Now, of course, in my case, I happen to be a bit reclusive, but I've been that way for over a decade now. But these are tools that I personally use to get my life in order. Now, remember, when you're dealing with this, okay, there's a simple rule of thumb, and it falls under karmic law number 2. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Okay, and that law, which is not karmic, it's societal, but it falls into category 2. And that is, you must follow the laws of the land in which you are. Okay. And what that boils down to is if a law is literally in place, not a suggestion, but a law, you've got to follow it. Now, when you're setting up the laws in your own home, the easiest one to lay it out to explain it with is the concept of smoking. If the community you live in says you cannot smoke in this community, period, then you cannot, in your home, you cannot go, in my home you're allowed to. because your home is in that community area. Therefore, you must adhere to those laws, regardless of your race, regardless of your income. Doesn't matter who you vote for, the law has to be followed. Now, conversely, if the law says you can smoke in this community, in your own home, you can literally put the law in place and go, yeah, you can smoke in the community, but in my house, you're not permitted. Okay. And the reason for that is because you're not breaking the communal law by saying you're allowed to smoke. You're simply adding a law in there that says in your house it's not permissible. By doing that, everybody's following the same patterns. And this applies to everybody, no matter what your health, no matter what your finances. It literally leaves everything in place. And that's why the laws have to be unilateral. They have to apply to everybody. Okay. And this issue of, when we take a look at that, that applies to newcomers to the community. That applies to people with health issues. Okay. Years ago, we had a simple little issue. Okay, there were people that had peanut allergies. Okay, but what happened with those was the people that had the allergies were taught how to deal with them and were taught what to do in the case of an event, in the event they ended up infected. Okay, somewhere along the lines that went sideways. And now what's happening is everybody has to deal with peanut allergies. Okay, used to be if you had peanut allergies, if you went to school, you knew that was a danger. Your teachers knew that was a danger, and they all knew what to do with it in the event that it was a danger, that it became a problem. But what's happened now is in the schools, at least up here in Canada. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but at least up here in Canada, in the area I'm in, I don't even know about the other districts. But in the school district that I live in, okay, nobody can have peanuts. Okay, because a very small minority have peanut allergies. Now, it used to be a question of deal with the illness. Okay, the same thing is happening with multiple diseases, where instead of dealing with the ill, we're dealing with the people that aren't ill and limiting things across the board. This is creating economic havoc. And recently it has become even more blatantly obvious. This is why the laws have to be equal. It's the same as when you come from another country. Okay, I've got absolutely nothing against people coming into a new country. Let's face it. Virtually there's a staggering number of people that come from another country. In my case, I'm literally native here. I was born in Canada. That, in and of itself, means I'm native. No matter what nationality I am, no matter what my heritage line, the fact I was physically born here means I'm native to this community, to this country. Now, anybody moving into the country that was not born there, regardless of their age, their political alignment, their skin color, their nationality, they are not native. This does not mean they should not be welcome. As a matter of fact, absolutely they should be welcome. But it does mean that when you're moving to a new country, you must follow the laws of the land in which you are. You left your country for whatever reason. Okay. Quite frankly, and yeah, this is just my opinion, but to me it makes sense. You must follow the laws of the land in which you are. You don't bring your laws from another country. You left for a reason. Go to the new country, get to know what the country is before you move to it. But learn the native and learn the dominant language in that country. And there are many countries that have lots of different dominant languages. I can think of one in particular that comes to mind is Switzerland, from what I understand, depending on what region you're in, has 5 distinct dialects. Well, whichever part of Switzerland you're planning on moving to, learn the dominant dialect of the area you're moving. Okay, because that, frankly, from a karmic standpoint, that's the way to do it. You don't move in and go, they have to learn my language. That's the only way I'm going to talk to them. You're the one that moved into the country. Same as if I were moving to another country. I would expect myself to learn the native language. Okay, whatever their dominant language is. When you're going looking for a job, okay, there are protocols that have to be in place. Usually they're safety protocols or uniform protocols. And this is just a blanket statement. Remember that thing about following the laws of the land in which you are? Okay, regardless of who you are, regardless of your religion, regardless of your belief. Okay, if you're going into a job that requires a certain uniform, do not push to have said uniform changed for your benefit. Okay, whether it's a religious belief structure or not. Okay, when you go to work on a construction site, a falling rock will not care whether you're wearing a helmet. Okay, and more to the point, it won't care what your belief is. It won't care whether or not you've got a lot of money. A rock falling on your head is still going to punch a hole. Okay, if you're working at a racetrack, okay, fire doesn't care how much how many people you've helped in your life. It doesn't care whether or not you can see as well as the next person. It will still burn the daylights out of you. Hence, you use appropriate safety measures, but you follow the laws, the safety measures of the industry you're striving to get into. Okay, people have to get away from the idea that their religious belief, that their faith, whatever it is, that their spiritual guideline makes them an exception to the rule. Okay, this applies to everything, including clothing. Okay, now to me, it's real simple. The funny part about it here, and I'm trying to stay away from a lot of things, but where it comes to the masks, okay, now the masks are a simple issue. They're a piece of clothing. Now, I've heard people go, say, well, I've got a medical condition, therefore I can't wear a mask. Bad news. If you need to go shopping, and let's say you can't wear a mask because you have, I think COPD is one of the big ones. Let's say you do have a problem with that, okay, and I hope you don't. But if you've got COPD and because of that, you can't wear a mask because it interferes with your breathing, I feel for you, I really do. But that said, if you cannot wear the mask because of that medical condition, don't go out. And yeah, I know, well, I should have the right to go out. Well, you probably should, but you have an extenuating problem. Okay, where it comes to shopping, and I only just recently learned how to do this, but you can shop online, have your food, have the basics dropped off. There are many grocery stores that will deliver for you. Now, it's not ideal, but unfortunately, let's face it, if you've got COPD, you're also not going to be involved. Even if you really enjoyed running when you were younger, you're no longer going to be running. Okay, your lungs won't handle it, so you don't do that anymore. And this is just an issue of work within your own limits. Know what you're capable of. Know what your body is capable of. Okay, I don't like these things. And more often than not lately, I forget where I put them, which might give you an idea how little I like them. But it used to be, if I was holding on to my glasses right here, I couldn't physically see them. Now, I put them down and I can still see the whites of my eyes in my own video, which is a heck of a sight better than it used to be. Okay, but I didn't like the way they were. So, I still wear them when I'm driving. I just don't drive very much. But, when you take a look at it, when you look at the way your world is going, you adjust to what you're physically capable of. Because nature, illness, natural elements don't care how much money you've got. They don't care whether or not you've got problems breathing. Okay, they will treat you the same as they treat everybody else. You notice, now I know this is a big one for me around my place. We've got sugar ants. Okay, and frankly, I've never had one of them ask whether or not I voted. Or how much money I made. They come into my house anyway. Okay, and I know there's a lot of people in my apartment that are different gender than I am. They've got the same problem. Okay, they don't stop. These ants don't stop to find out who I'm voting for, what money I've got. They don't care who my partner is. Okay, same thing applies to everything in the way of nature. Okay, illness. Now, this does not mean illnesses are not bad. But the idea that we're dealing with a society, there's a much bigger illness, a much more dangerously rampant illness running through this world right now. Okay, way more dangerous than COVID ever was, than any disease ever have been, including worse than what the Black Death was 700 years ago, roughly. That illness that has become blatantly a problem it's an illness called apathy, where people are so caught up in the idea of instant gratification, blame somebody else. It's not my fault. Somebody else is to blame. Okay. All of these things are part of apathy. Okay. Apathy literally translated means roughly, I don't care. Okay. Now, I'd love to say I don't, but the reality is I do. I don't deal well with people, so I stay away from them. I don't expect everybody else to move out of my way because of the fact that I don't deal well with people. I just simply avoid them. Now, with that in mind, I have no problem talking to people on the computer. Okay. I would love to hear your comments below. Okay, and if you have a comment you'd like to make, but don't desire the entire world to find out about it, then drop me a line at one of the contact points below this video. But if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because I did return to this planet, okay, to this lifetime, to spread one simple word. Okay, and that word is that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. But to that end, I am going to require assistance because I'm only one person. Now, I'm not entirely certain, but now I am curious. Okay, so I'm just going to draw this down here and double check one little issue, which boils down to going in and taking a look at mine. And right now, I'm not reaching a lot of people, and this is where I am asking for your assistance to absolutely share the message. Okay, share this video with everybody you can. Okay, right now I'm sitting at a whopping 186 subscribers. Now that fluctuates, but it is climbing. Now I started doing these videos back on March 6th of this year. Okay, but when I'm talking about sharing the message with everybody, I'm not just talking about video. Didn't need that. I'm not talking about just sharing it with the people that you know that have video. I'm referring to taking the message and dealing with people directly. When you're dealing with people out and about, spread the same message that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, as I said, we've got this massive pandemic going on, and I'm referring to the pandemic of apathy. Way too many people are so caught up in what's in it for me. How can I get it? How can I get more stuff without actually having to put any effort into it, or without actually having to without actually having to do the work. Well, the only person on the planet, the only person in existence that can be successful for you is you. Okay, so this is why I'm saying it's time to shift the energy. Now, we've got this neat little pandemic of apathy that people are just ignoring. Okay, quite literally, it's not my problem, therefore I'm not doing anything with it. The reality is, apathy is everybody's problem. But I am encouraging people to start another pandemic. But that pandemic is totally harmless and extremely beneficial. And that is literally smile at people. And that's it. Yeah, we can get everybody smiling. This world, the vibratory rate of this planet will rise. And this world will start to run more effectively. But it's going to require the effort of everybody. And that starts on the home front. It starts by looking at yourself and going, am I content with my life? Now, there are aspects of my life I'm content with. Okay. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, one of the other goals I've got is to break the 200-pound mark this year. Okay. Now, when you're dropping weight, instead of losing it, because losing weight seems to carry the connotation that you're going to go out looking for it. And the problem with weight is when you find it again, it usually comes back with company, it seems. So I look at it from the standpoint of dropping weight. So another project that I've got here is to break the 200-pound mark. Now, I've seen these weight loss ideas that, you can drop 40 pounds in a month. Well, you probably can. I'm not a medical doctor, but I will tell you, that kind of massive weight loss is going to cause a problem for your body. Your body will not likely adjust to it as well as you might think. I personally recommend that I am not a medical doctor, so check your own facts. Talk to your own nutritionist. I personally recommend aiming at a pound to a pound and a half. A pound, maybe 2 pounds a week. So if you're striving to drop 50 pounds, you're looking at best, 25 weeks, likely closer to 50. Okay, which means if you're striving to drop 50 pounds, you're looking at close to a year's work. Hopefully you don't weigh more than that, but if you do, it's going to increase at the same ratio. Okay, in my case, I've got only about 15 pounds left. So again, this is a short-term project comparatively, but it's one of the 12 that I'm putting together. So I've got the 5 there, 6, 7, what was the 8th one? I've got the 5 books, this room, the weight, which is number 7. And I had an 8th one there, I'm sure of it. I should have written it down. Because I don't think I had, that's not it anyway. I have no idea. Pardon the dead spot. This is why I encourage you to write these things down. Because even I don't do it as well. I don't keep everything in mind properly. But pick a dozen tasks to finish, projects to finish before the end of this year. But these are tasks for you personally. And remember, the only person in existence that can change this world, can change your world, that can be successful for you, is you. Now, with that in mind, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.